I I wanted to make this video on Andrew Yang. I want to give my opinion. I actually saw his Breakfast Club interview, and I'd heard about him before previously. I'd seen him short snippets of interviews that he did here and there, but I hadn't seen him like really sit down and do a full that was the first time really seen him sit down and do like a really full interview, and it gave me a much clearer perspective of who he is and what he stands for. He's actually not like this hardcore socialist like Bernie Sanders is. He's actually a capitalist. He started as an entrepreneur. He worked with some tech startups. He has a pretty strong business background. Okay, but when I first saw him, it was kind of like the media was kind of portraying him like he was like a socialist, kind of like Bernie Sanders. And I don't rock with Bernie Sanders at all. You know, I'm not for that hardcore socialist class warfare rhetoric like that. But as far as Andrew Yang, he doesn't seem to have that. He doesn't seem to have it. And that's one thing I like about him, is that he's not sitting here saying, you know, we need to get all these rich people and we need to go hunt up all the bankers and put them in jail, and we need to go get all the tax money from overseas and bring it back over. We need to tax these businesses way more than... He's talked about a value added tax, but it's not as heavy-handed as a lot of the rhetoric as Bernie Sanders. And he doesn't have that whole, sad rhetoric that, people are being left behind. And his mindset, I notice, is much more pragmatic, and it's much more methodical. And he talked about the universal basic income, and his plan for it seems very methodical. I know Charlemagne asked him about it, and he said, well, won't that cause inflation? And then Andrew Yang was like, we added $4 trillion. We printed $4 trillion during the financial crisis in 2008. And that did not increase inflation. But I know he's also talked about we got to reform entitlements, and we got to change the way we do entitlements and that whole kind of thing. The UBI is going to be something everyone gets. So regardless, even if you're wealthy, if you're middle class, if you're working class or whatever, you should be able to get this $1,000 UBI check. I calculated, I think it's going to be like if it's $1,000 a month, that's going to be like $2.2 trillion a month the government would have to pay out. I hope they can reform entitlements like Medicare and Medicaid and stuff like that. That's going to have to require a complete restructuring to get something like this off the ground. But he talked about automation. He talked about how this is probably something that's going to have to be useful because of the way automation will potentially come in the future economy. To tell you the truth, he's a very smart guy, and I probably would have to say, if it came down between him and Bernie Sanders, I would definitely pick him. If it come down between like him or someone like Donald Trump, I would have to say Yang definitely does seem like the smarter guy. I'm not ready to give like a full endorsement yet, but Yang does come off as a very intelligent guy, very smart guy, very bright guy who knows what he's talking about. But there's some questions that I have. With all the automation talk and stuff like that, is he going to be someone who's going to try to implement policies to accelerate automation? Or that's a concern that I would have. Because when it comes to automation, I think you hear a lot of talk about it, you hear a lot of hype about it, but I don't think organically automation is going to quite work the way a lot of these people are saying. A lot of these people saying that they're going to eliminate like 30% of all the jobs in the next 10 years or 15 years or whatever. I don't think it's going to go quite that fast. I think it's going to be implemented here and there. It's actually expensive to implement, and not every company is going to implement it. And not every industry is necessarily going to implement it. They talk about call centers. But I've read articles where a lot of call centers are going back to having human callers now because it's more efficient for someone to talk to a human a lot of times rather than talk to a machine. I've seen that. A lot of people talk about, the McDonald's and stuff. Really, those McDonald's kiosks, though, they seem to be there to just make the cashiers more efficient, though. Because whenever I go to these McDonald's, I still see the same amount of people working at these McDonald's. You know what I mean? And with the kiosk, all you do is you just put the order in, and it pops up on a computer of the people who are making the food. And they just make it. You don't have to go to the cashier. But it really just frees up. It really just makes it more efficient. I don't see them putting up like McDonald's that only have like 2 people working there and the whole thing is just automated. I haven't seen that yet. I'm not saying that may not be coming, but I haven't seen it yet. I may be coming down the line. I understand all this $15 an hour stuff is minimum wage, is killing jobs and that kind of thing. I get that. I understand that. But I'm just wondering if Yang is going to accelerate. Is he going to try to accelerate what's coming rather than just working with it or dealing with it organically? Let me know what y'all think. Leave comments, subscribe. But he definitely sounded very intelligent in his Breakfast Club interview and very sensible. And he connected with me on an intellectual level much more so than any other candidate, much more so than Trump, or much more so than Bernie Sanders. I don't really fuck with Bernie Sanders like that. Y'all know I'm not a socialist like that. But let me know what y'all think. Peace.